everybody. We are here at Suzuka. This is our final race of the season. The championship is all but tied up. Mike Wojcik has enough of a lead that as long as he finishes strong, he will be our champion. But if he has a mishap or a crash, which we have seen him do, anything can happen. We've got Jon Snow and Mike Doherty who are not far behind him, but he is strongly in the driver's seat right now. He's starting on pole position, and all he's got to do is finish strong, and he's going to secure the championship for this season. You see these guys sitting on the starting grid here, getting ready to go, getting their fuel set up and their tire set up, pit strategy, all that good stuff. So Suzuka, I think, is a very fitting track to end our season. It's a very fast track. It's got some very technical parts, but it also has a lot of high speed areas. It's a GP track, which, if you don't know what that means, it basically means it's a Grand Prix track. It's much wider than a lot of the tracks that we have ran this season. We've ran at places like Snetterton, Alton Park, different places that are much narrower racetracks, and we saw some guys struggle with the narrower racetracks. It's a different type of racing, and we saw some guys have to adjust to that throughout this season. But here we are at Suzuka. It's a much wider place, much more forgiving in certain places than some of the other tracks we've done this season. It is going to be a really fun race, I think. These guys were really fast here all week during practice and in the practice races and everything. And then today, in practice and in qualifying, everybody looked really good. So, interested to see how this all shakes out. We've got a 13-car grid, so we've been a little bit smaller on the turnout for the last couple of weeks as the season kind of was winding down. We kind of lost some of our participation, but hopefully we can get some of that back starting next season, which will happen in just a few weeks here. These guys put on a really, really good show during qualifying. I think it was the top 7 were all within a less than 2 seconds of each other, so really good pace by everybody. If you've never raced on Suzuka, this track is a balance of speed and patience. It has certain areas that are really fast, but it has some areas with these long sweeping turns where if you're impatient, you can make mistakes that cost you a lot of time. So you have to be patient in the slow corners and then be as quick as possible coming out of those corners to get into these long straightaways and high speed areas. So fun track. It's obviously an iconic track. People come from all around the world to race it. So let's take a look back through our field here. We've got Mike Wojcik obviously on pole position, Mike Doherty in second, Jon Snow is in third, David Macedo is in fourth, Pedro Perez is in fifth, Alex Moda is in sixth, Kyle Macedo is in seventh. You see him there in the McLaren. Stefan Buckley is in eighth in the BMW. Right behind him is Bruce Hopkins in another similarly painted BMW. Lorenzo Liu behind that. Johnson Liu is in 11th, so for once he didn't qualify last, so we'll see what Johnson can do in this race. We know he typically ends up qualifying last and then running his way through the field throughout the race. In 12th, we've got Evan Miller, and then last but not least, Mr. DJ Young is in the back there. So, as always, it's an hour-long race, 20-minute pit window in the middle. Unfortunately, the replay, as we use for these broadcast videos, does not show when the pit window opens, so we just kind of have to go off of when people start pitting. but it is a 60-minute race with a 20-minute pit window directly in the middle. So it's 20 minutes of racing, then a 20-minute pit window, then 20 more minutes of racing, and that's how it all goes. So gives the guys a whole third of the race is an option for a pit strategy. So it gives the guys a lot of choice about when they want to pit, and they also have choice of whether they want to take tires or fuel, or there's a lot of freedom in our current setup. Next season that's going to be a little bit different, but for this season this is the setup we've continued to run. And you see these guys getting formed up here. They're getting ready for the start of the race, coming down towards the front stretch. So I think the camera angle is pretty good on this front stretch. We're going to try to stay in this camera. We'll change it if we have to, but you can see pretty well from this angle. You see everybody kind of getting in line and getting ready to go, waiting for that green flag any second. Now there it is. There's the green flag. So they're off and racing. And here they come down the front stretch. You see them two wide, 2 rows coming down. They're going to have to sort this out as they get through. Some close racing between some of these guys. The front guys have sorted it out. They're all single file already. But behind that, there's quite a bit of side-by-side racing going on. We've got Alex Moda in 6th place right now. Actually, he moved up to 5th place. Okay, so Kyle Macedo fell in behind Stefan Buckley. So that's going to put Kyle in 8th place. So that's kind of shaking its way out there. Let's see. That is Johnson Liu behind. Let's see. I'm getting mixed up who I'm looking at here. Johnson Liu is behind Bruce Hopkins. That's who it is. I keep getting Bruce Hopkins and Stefan Buckley mixed up because their cars look so similar. So Johnson Liu's in 10th place right now. You see Evan Miller has fallen back to last currently, and DJ Young has moved up a spot. Let's get back to the front. So we got Mike Doherty trying to keep pace with Mike Wojcik. Wojcik's starting to gap him just a little bit already. And Doherty's gapping Macedo a little bit here. So Macedo got the better start and got the advantage over John Snow. Now we know John is really, really fast as the race goes on. He gets quicker and quicker. So we'll see if Macedo can keep him at bay or not. You see Alex Moda right behind those guys. Followed by Pedro Perez, followed by Stefan Buckley, and then Kyle Macedo. So that's our top 8 right there. You see Doherty, he's now 1 second behind Wojcik. You see David Macedo is already having problems with John Snow. I don't know what happened that caused John to fall behind Macedo, but John is faster than David is around this track. I'm pretty sure he qualified in front of him, and John has just been really fast all season long. You see him get in front of Macedo there. He takes the position. Now Alex Moda is on the back door of Macedo, trying to see if he can take advantage as well. He's got Pedro Perez right on him. So Alex is not only looking for a way to get around Macedo, but he's also looking to defend against Pedro. You see Moda try to get side by side with Macedo, but unable to do it. Some really close racing by these guys. If you've never raced here, we're going to get on board with John, and we're going to take a ride on board what it's like going around this track. So here he is coming down this long straight. high speed through here. Just lift a little. All the way down to second gear through these tight turns right here. And then coming around the sweeping right-hander. This is going to bring him down the front stretch. So this is going to be the beginning of our lap. So you see how much Doherty and Wojcik have already pulled away. So John's trying to make up that ground. He was stuck behind Macedo for a minute. You see him coming down into third gear, second gear. It's a long right-hander. Back on the gas, and then you got this set of sweeping turns here. These are so hard to get right. You got to maintain plenty of speed, but at the same time you have to be under control, because it's easy to end up in the dirt or in the grass on any of these turns. So you see John nice and rhythmic through here, very methodical. You see he's making up ground on Doherty already. Using every bit of the track, catching the bumpers on both sides of the track, using every bit of the surface he can get to have a speed advantage. You see how fast he's catching Doherty. He's really coming up on him now. So now onto the back part of the track. This is a high-speed area through here. It comes into another set of sweepers. First one to the left, down into third gear. And he's going to go into second gear for the second left-hander. You see Doherty get a little loose right there in that second left-hander. And then back on the gas. This is where we got on board. So he's coming through the secondary start position. You can see the starting grid back there, but that's not the front stretch. This is that high-speed left-hander. John keeps it in sixth through there. And then this is the really tight chicane right here. He makes it look easy, but I promise you it's not that easy. That's a tough set of corners right there. And then back down the front stretch. So that's one lap around Suzuka, riding with one of our fastest drivers. So you can see what it's like, what these guys are doing lap after lap. That's the track they're up against. So you have really high speed areas, but you also have those long sweeping turns back and forth, left, right, left, right. Takes a lot of practice to get as good at this track as these guys are. You see what a gap John has pulled on David Macedo now. David has pulled a gap on Alex Moda as well, so everybody's kind of spreading out a little bit here, except for the fact that John is actually catching Mike Doherty, so he's making up ground on Doherty. He's got it under a second now to Doherty, so he's catching Doherty. Doherty seems to be keeping pace with Wojcik pretty well, so John looks like he's going faster than either of the leaders right now, so we'll keep an eye on that. Let's take a look back. We got Moda, who's catching back up to Macedo. Fast group of guys right here. These four cars are all really quick. See Pedro run wide back there, but he's able to keep the speed going. Here they come through this tight chicane. Everybody manages to get through there pretty well, but meanwhile, Jon Snow has caught Mike Doherty and is all over him. So these guys in a close battle for second place. John definitely has the pace to get him. He ran him down from quite a ways back. So it's just a matter of when is he going to get Doherty. you see how tight John's car is between most, or through most of these turns. You see the other guys running kind of wide, or drifting out to the outside of the turn as they're going through the turn. And John, he is truly setup guru, because his car, his setup mixed with his driving style, he's pretty much got it perfected in this Bentley. He always seems to take a little bit tighter line, be a little bit smoother, a little bit more consistent than just about everybody on the track. So you'll see it as you watch him following Doherty here. You'll see him hug the inside of some of these turns where Doherty, on the other hand, is running a little wide. And that may be by design. It might be Mike trying to find more speed by letting the car drift wide. But John is going just as faster without doing that. So pretty impressive. Let's take a look on board. Seen a lot of battles between this Bentley and these BMWs this season, and on those long straights like what we just saw there, we've seen a lot of really close battles. There's not really an advantage for either car. The BMW can't pull away from the Bentley, and the Bentley can't pull away from the BMW. So see Doherty sliding a little wide there. John almost up alongside him, but he's got to switch back to the left. But there's certain cars that struggle on those long straights, but they're better in the turns. The Porsche comes to mind. The Porsche is not quite as powerful going down the long straightaways, but has better advantage through the turns if set up properly. You see, John is all over Doherty now, trying to stay off of him, but at the same time get around him. Mike is just holding on for dear life at this point. He's fast. Mike is very fast, but John is just quicker. He's got better pace here, which we've said that many times throughout the season. John has just been a monster this season with his speed at almost every track we've gone to. See, even through there, that long straight, John was gaining slightly, but it's just because of the slipstream. You take away the slipstream, that's pretty much a dead heat between the BMW and the Bentley. They're almost exactly the same in the straight. So you see John, he's going to keep his car tucked in behind Doherty to try to get any advantage he can. That slipstream's giving him a little bit of a tow. You can see he's getting a little bit closer on that long straight. You see Mike a little loose coming through there. John's going to get alongside. Side-by-side racing. That's going to give Mike the advantage on the next turn, though. You see Mike a little slow through there again. See how John is just hugging the curb on all these turns. He's able to keep the car so tight to the inside on all these different corners, and it's giving him an advantage over Doherty, who's drifting a little wide on a lot of these turns. John got a little too slow through that one corner, and Doherty got a little bit of breathing room for a second. close battle in between these guys, but so far Doherty's been able to hold it on the driving line, and John just hasn't. Every time John gets alongside, he ends up on the outside on the next turn, so he's just not able to make it stick. See, this is where Doherty is losing quite a bit of speed to John, is through these turns through here. He's just not as quick through here as John is. Keep a close eye on this, but this might go on for a while. These guys, you know, Mike's not one to make mistakes very often, so he may hold John at bay for quite a while. Meanwhile, Wojcik is slowly pulling away. It's not very fast, but he's got it up to 2.2 seconds, so the longer John is stuck behind Mike Doherty, the harder it's going to be for him to catch Wojcik. No doubt what he's thinking too. He's thinking he's got to get around him. Let's take a look back here. We're going to jump on board with Johnson Lou. Johnson is all over Bruce Hopkins. You see these guys coming through this final chicane here. Now Johnson started in, I think, 11th place, and he's all the way up to 8th now, so he's making his way through the field. Evan Miller fell back to last place. He's made his way all the way up to 10th, so he's doing really well. See a little bit of a server lag or something right there. That was kind of strange. See, Johnson's quite a bit faster through these slow turns than Bruce is. Right on him now. We've also got a close battle between Pedro. We're riding on board with Pedro now. Pedro Perez right on the back of Alex Moda. This is the battle for 4th place. And we messed up. We missed when John finally got Doherty. Let's take a look back. Probably happened right after we left, of course. That's the way things go. Alright, so here's John. Right on Doherty. Coming down the front stretch. Oh, you see Doherty just runs wide there. Maybe he was looking in his rear view for a second as John moved to the inside, not sure. Misjudged that turn and just gave it to him. So now John is able to focus on Wojcik, who is over 2 seconds ahead of him. Maybe 2 point. It says 2.8, but it's still showing Doherty. We'll see what it actually says once it updates. Okay, there it is, 2.8, so 2.79. So John's got some ground to make up to catch Wojciech. He does seem to have the speed to do it, though. John's been really fast around here throughout this whole race and in practice and qualifying. We know that Wojciech was quicker in qualifying and so was Doherty, but if John Snow has taught us anything, it's that qualifying speed and race speed are very different things. John might not qualify first, but when you get into the actual race and it's about race pace, he is as fast as anybody we've seen. So he's already got it down to 2.6, so he's gaining on Wojciech. Let's go back and take a look at this battle between Pedro, Perez, and Alex Moda. You see Kyle Macedo back there behind these guys, but it's a pretty good gap to him. He is a few seconds behind. It's not popping up. There it is, 3.0. So he's 3 seconds behind these guys. Now Pedro has gone from an absolute rookie at the beginning of last season to somebody who's really challenging for points and challenging for, getting close to a podium finish every race this season. So he's really having a good season, and he's put up good points. He's finished strong just about every single race. I think he missed 2 races early in the season, but ever since then he's been really doing well. So we like to see that. And of course Alex in that Porsche, he's really been a threat at every track that we've raced on. Alex has. He's always up in the top 5, always does a great job. A lot of people don't like the Porsche because it can be a little temperamental, but I know I personally love it, and Alex has had a lot of success with it, so I think he likes it quite a bit. You see him run a little wide there, end up in the grass. That's going to get Pedro right back on him again. Let's take a look on board with Pedro. The Bentley has an advantage on this long straight over the Porsche. You see him gaining quite a bit on Moda there. But then Moda, I believe, has an advantage through these corners, these sweeping turns in the Porsche, because that's kind of the Porsche's forte. It's really good through these slow speed, sweeping type turns. We've seen Alex make up ground on people in areas of the track just like this all season long in that Porsche. We know he runs a lot of downforce in the Porsche. That's kind of how he has his driving style set up. Catch you in the corners and then, still quick enough to be competitive in the straights. But it's worked out really well for him. He's had a top 5 finish in, I think, just about every race of the season, which is definitely hard to do. So, see Pedro struggling through these turns here a little bit. I mean, he's not struggling, but he's struggling to keep up with Alex through here. So, this here is where the Bentley is going to have a little bit of an advantage. These long, high-speed areas. He's probably going to catch back up to Moda quite a bit on this section right here. You see him gaining on him. You can see the difference in full-out speed that the Bentley has. It's just better all around on the long straights. And Pedro's pretty good through that chicane right there. We've seen him catch the person in front of him a couple of times through there, so he's got that figured out really well. And now here they are down another front stretch. He's going to be able to, if he gets in the slipstream, be able to gain on Moda once again. So, good battle by those guys, but while we were watching that, this has happened. Jon Snow has ran Mike Wojcik all the way down. And these guys are side by side. You see Snow forced a little wide there. You see how much of a gap Snow has pulled on Doherty. He's really ran away from him and caught Wojcik. See the speed that Jon has. I mean, he caught right back up to Wojcik after falling back quite a bit. He's just really, really quick around Suzuka, and just in general. I mean, we've been saying all season long how fast he was. You see a 30-second stop and go for DJ Young there. Some of these guys have started pitting. Unfortunate for DJ, he's got a speeding penalty in the pits there. So we'll see who pits where out of this group. So the front, except for the two leaders, the front is pretty separated right now. Mike Doherty is 5.1 behind Jon Snow. Alex Moda is 8.7 behind Mike Doherty, so that's a 13-second gap between those two guys. Then Pedro's right on Alex Moda, and then Kyle Macedo is 3.5 seconds off of Pedro, and then Johnson Liu is 7.7 seconds off of Kyle Macedo. So pretty good gap between most of these guys right now. Meanwhile, Johnson Liu, granted, some people have already pitted and whatnot, but Johnson is being shown in 6th place, so he's moved his way all the way up to 6th. You see Pedro there. He's back in 8th, but I believe that's because he has already pitted. Meanwhile, Snow still all over Wojcik. You see these guys, it doesn't look like they're going very fast, that long camera angle, but they're doing about 160 miles per hour down that stretch. So they're really moving. The angle of the camera just makes it look slow, but they're actually carrying a lot of speed through there. see, I think that's Bruce Hopkins letting these guys go by. Kind of ended up off the track there, but luckily he's able to safely let the leaders pass. You see John is just all over him right now. John got a really good run out of that corner back there. Able to make up a lot of time on Wojcik coming through there. And John is going to dive into the pit, so that's going to end that position battle. That's going to give Snow a completely different strategy than these other guys. You see Doherty, he's still staying out. Moda staying out. Kyle Macedo staying out. We know Pedro is pitting now. I thought Pedro had already pitted. He must have had some kind of an incident that dropped him back in the pack. Not sure. See Johnson Liu and Lorenzo Liu having a good battle here. You see Johnson get a little loose there coming over the curbing, but he's able to hold on to it. So Wojcik is now out in no man's land. The closest person to him is 8.2 seconds, and then the closest person behind that is another 8 seconds. So Wojcik is all by himself now. You see Jon Snow, he's being shown in 7th, but of course he's already pitted, so that's all this is gonna have to work its way out throughout the last few laps of the race here. The only real battle we have going on anywhere right now is this one between Johnson Liu and Lorenzo Liu. But there goes Lorenzo into the pits. Johnson stayed out, so that's going to end that battle as well. Whoa, you see Johnson drifting all the way through that turn there. Able to hold on to it, but that cost him quite a bit of time. He was in a four-wheel drift going around that corner. So let's see. Alex Moda is coming out of the pits. He's being shown in... Oh, and Moda got a stop-and-go 30-second penalty. that is going to really mess things up for him. You see Evan Miller. Now, granted, I'm not sure if he's pitted or not. I don't think he has. But he is being shown in 5th place right now. Considering he was in last place in like the first lap of the race, that's pretty impressive even without pitting. So, pretty good job by him. You see he's got Jon Snow behind him. John is definitely on a different pace than Evan is, so he's going to make quick work of him here, I think. But Evan's going to pit, so that's going to give John the position. So that's going to move John up to at least 5th place. We'll see if any of these guys are in the pits. No, no, and no. So none of these guys are in the pits. That's going to move John back up to 5th place. Doherty's being shown in 2nd right now. He's still got a pit along with Wojcik and Kyle Macedo and Johnson Liu. These guys all still have to pit, so we'll see where Jon Snow ends up after all 4 of those guys pit. Now they have a sizable lead on John right now. I'm not sure if John took fuel in the pits or what exactly happened, but he was in the pits a little longer than his normal pit stop seemed like, so not sure what the situation was there. But he's going to have his work cut out even after these guys pit. So we see Wojcik here. He is not going to pit again. Let's take a look at Doherty. Doherty is not going to pit also. Kyle Macedo. See what he does. He does not either. Johnson Liu. He is going to pit. So Johnson's coming into pit. So John is going to pass Johnson Liu. It's going to give John 4th place. See Johnson in pit lane there. So that's going to give John 4th place. The 3 guys in front of him all still have to pit. So we'll see what happens as these guys do. Meanwhile, you see Wojcik here. He's still in no man's land. The closest person to him is over 10 seconds behind. So he's got plenty of breathing room. All he's got to do is focus on laps. He's trying to close out a championship tonight. The win is not as important as the championship, and if he finishes strong, he's going to win the championship. So, but of course, he probably wants to win the race too. So we're going to see what he can do on both of those fronts. Okay, so he's going to pit. So that is going to see what Doherty does. Same situation. Doherty is going to pit also. Kyle Macedo. He's going to pit also. So that's going to put Jon Snow in a good position with the 3 guys in front of him pitting, but let's see how far behind he is, what he can actually do, who he's going to be able to pass. If any of these guys. I mean, they're all pretty far ahead of him. He's shown 28 seconds behind Kyle Macedo. So here comes Jon. Kyle is still in the pits. Doherty is coming out of the pits. You see Jon there. So Doherty's going to come out in front of Jon. Wojcik is out in front of Jon. So Jon is going to be in 3rd place. So it's going to be a repeat of what we saw earlier. Jon Snow trying to run down and get past Mike Doherty. We're going to see that all over again. So neither of these guys took tires. So without taking tires, they should be similar pace to what they were before compared to each other. So you would imagine Jon's going to run him down in a couple of laps, and then he's going to have to find a way around him. You see Mike run wide there, ends up in the sand. That's going to cost him quite a bit of time. That's going to put Jon right on him. So Mike loses the little bit of an advantage that he had after making a mistake, and now he's got Snow all over him again. This is a familiar place for Mike Doherty. That Bentley all over his bumper. See Jon all over him now coming through these slow corners. Jon's proven to be faster through these sections of the track all day long. He manages to get side by side with Doherty, and it looks like he's going to make the pass. Yeah, he made the pass there. Good tight racing by these guys. Good move by Jon to be able to take the spot. He is now 18 seconds behind Wojcik, so 18 seconds is quite a gap. We're running 29 laps here tonight, so that means we got about 10 laps to go, a little less than 10, about 9.5 laps to go. So 9.5 laps, 18 seconds, he'd have to make up 2 seconds a lap. We know Jon's really fast, but I don't know if he's that fast. That's a really big task to try to make up that amount of time. It's hard to make up that amount of time on anybody, but especially somebody as fast as Wojcik. Wojcik is really, really quick, so... But we'll see what Jon can do. He's got nothing but open track in front of him, so he can go as fast as his car will allow. let's take a look back through the field. So let's start at the front. We got Wojcik out here in front. You see David Macedo there, but David had some kind of an incident earlier or something go wrong. He was in the pits for a while, so he's being shown in last place. But here's Wojcik in first, John Snow in second, Mike Doherty in third. Kyle Macedo is running all by himself in fourth. He doesn't really have anybody anywhere around him. So he's all alone running in fourth place. Lorenzo Liu is in fifth in front of Johnson Liu. So he's been able to overcome Johnson in that position battle. Johnson Liu in sixth. He's behind DJ Young, but DJ is, I believe, a lap down. So after that, we got Alex Moda, who's still trying to recover from that 30-second stop and go that he got earlier. He's running in seventh. He is 31 seconds behind Johnson Liu, so he is in no man's land. With only 8 laps to go, I don't know how much of a dent he's going to be able to make in that 31 seconds. Then 8.9 seconds behind him is Evan Miller, which Evan is having a really good race considering after the first lap he was in dead last. So he's done a good job. He was in 13th place earlier and has made his way all the way up to 8th, so he's got to be happy about that. Then Pedro, not sure what happened to Pedro. We missed something. I hate that I missed it, but it's at some point he went from the top 5 back to about 8th or 9th place, and then he pitted. I thought it was because he had already pitted, but something else happened, because then once he pitted, he fell back to like 9th or 10th, and he's now running in 9th place. So not the finish that he was looking forward to, I don't think, but not sure what happened with him on that race, but we'll see what he can do in these last few laps here. DJ Young, he is behind Johnson Liu, but that is not for position though. That's you see a little bit of damage on DJ's car there. He must have had a little bit of an incident. Actually, he's got damage on the front and the back of that car, so he had some kind of incident happen at some point where he ended up off the track, so I'm not sure what that was. And of course David had some kind of issue. He was off the track for a while. Now he's back on the track. You see him just recently passed by Wojcik. That's Mike Wojcik. So, and that brings us to finally Bruce Hopkins, who is running in last place right now. He's a few laps down from the leaders. So we'll get back to the front. So Wojcik comfortably in first. Not sure what the gap is. Okay, so Snow has got the gap down to 13 seconds. It was 18 seconds. So he's cut 5 seconds off the lead in, I can't remember how many laps there were. In a few laps, he's cut 5 seconds off, but he's got 7 laps to go. And he's got to make up 13 seconds. So still about 2 seconds a lap. Little less than 2 seconds a lap he's got to make up on Wojcik to be able to catch him. And then if he somehow did catch him before the end of the race, he'd have to figure out what to do with him, which I don't know if he's even going to have time for all of that. You see the gap that John has pulled on Mike Doherty since passing him. He's up to 3.7 seconds ahead of Doherty right now. So Doherty, really fast, as he usually is, really fast, but doesn't have the pace of Jon Snow. I don't think anybody has the pace of Jon Snow. Not really sure what happened with the whole pit stop. Like when he went into the pits, he was right on the tail of Wojcik, and with the speed that he's had, you would have thought he would be ahead of Wojcik right now, but something happened. Either he took fuel or something like that, or he didn't get a penalty, so I'm not sure what happened, but he was right in the hunt for the win of this race. Looked like he was going to get it, but not looking so sure now. So let's see. Let's do a little bit of on board. We're going to ride with Evan Miller for a minute here. He's going to come down the front stretch and start a new lap. So let's take another look at a different car. This is in the BMW, one full lap on board in the BMW. So Evan getting up to about 160 miles per hour down that front stretch. He's going to come down to second gear coming through here. Back up to third. Keeps it in third. Still in third, keeps it in third all the way through there. He's actually going to keep it in third gear through all of this. Okay, he finally goes down to second right there. But just trying to keep it smooth through these back and forth sweeping turns. Oh, you see him overshoot that turn just a little bit there. See him, he's up over 140 miles an hour through that stretch there. Down into third gear, and he's going to get down into second gear through this second left-hander right here. And this is where you really get up to some speed right here. So running through the gears. This is one of the two really long stretches on this track. It's up over 150 miles per hour, 155. Let off just a little bit through there. And then into the chicane. And that's going to bring him back down the front stretch. So that's one full lap with Evan Miller riding in the BMW. Let's take a look on board in the McLaren, Kyle Macedo. Kyle, he's not quite as measured as somebody like a Jon Snow or David Macedo, his brother. Kyle is a little more drive by the seat of his pants kind of a guy, so he's a little more on the edge. You see him going down into fifth through here, coming into the chicane, hard on the brakes. Nice and smooth through there though, that looks good. So we're going to take one full lap with Kyle in the McLaren and see what the difference is. It's much more it's a lot noisier. It sounds like it's going a lot faster than the BMW. The BMW is very muted, very calm. You see him doing 150, 160 on that front stretch, so he's hitting some high speed through there. All the way down into second through that turn. Coming through these sweeping turns. Down into second. Back up to third, back down to second. Kind of bouncing back and forth between third and second gear. It's something a lot of people do through here because it's hard to know which gear to be in. These turns, it feels like no matter how slow you go, the car wants to push. You see them getting a lot of speed through here. And all the way down to first. Get back on your horse right here and really get some speed coming through this section. This hard left-hander. And another high-speed section. Suzuka's a really interesting track because it has several really high-speed sections, but then it has these sections where you're just left, right, left, right, left, right. Kind of all over the place as far as what gear you're in and how fast you're going. It kind of gives you the best of both worlds. It's a very fast track, but it also will test you as a driver how patient you can be. As we know, race car drivers are not always the most patient people. So you see Kyle, he's coming down into 5th every time through here. We've seen several guys stay in 6th gear as they go through that section right there. See him almost overshoot the chicane right there, able to hold on to it. So that's one full lap on board with the McLaren. Nice fast lap by Kyle. Good job by him. So let's take a look. Let's take a look on board. Here's Johnson Lou. Just give you the perspective of a few different cars, what it's like going around the same track. You see Johnson fighting with the car a little bit there. We know Johnson historically sets his car up pretty loose. He kind of drives on the edge, so he's... Alright, I'm looking at Lorenzo. Whoops, sorry. Johnson Lou. Let's take a look on board with him. Take a ride with him through this track one time. Whoa, you see him almost lose it getting on the curb there. Coming through here in the Porsche. You see the difference between Alex Moda's car and Johnson Lou's car. Johnson runs a much looser setup than Moda does. Moda runs a lot of downforce and runs a much tighter setup. Johnson runs his car looser, so he's quicker on the straights. If he were in a drag race with Alex Moda, he would beat him on the straightaway. But then when you get into these slow corners, Moda would have the advantage. See him all the way down into first, keeping it nice and tight through that slow turn. This is the only battle going on the track right now. Everybody's spaced out. Kind of a drama-free race so far here tonight. I mean, we've had some really good battles and whatnot, but there's been a lot of gaps between a lot of cars on this track, and I think that's just kind of the way Suzuka is as a racetrack. It's a little more open, a little bit. There's a lot more room for error because the track is so wide and there's so many turns. You can either be really fast or really slow just based on a couple of really small mistakes or taking the wrong line into a couple of sweepers, and you lose a few tenths, and it happens really, really fast. So that's a full lap on board with Johnson Lou there in the Porsche. So we're coming down to the last few laps here. Let's check on the leaders. So we got Wojcik. He's still got Macedo behind him. So David, after whatever happened earlier where he was off the track for a while, showing good pace, able to keep up with Wojcik. But David is still being shown in 11th place, so he's 4 laps behind. He had some kind of mechanical failure or something happened where he was out of the track. And when we're talking about in this league, when we talk about mechanical failures, we have guys who have shifters break partway through the race. We have guys who had brake pedal plates come off partway through the race, gas pedal plates come off. If you're a sim racer and you've done sim racing, you've probably encountered something like that at some point. So we've got that counts as our mechanical failures. In real racing, the cars break down. Sometimes you blow an engine or you blow a turbo, or the transmission goes out, something breaks. Well, in sim racing, the cars never break because that would ruin the fun for these guys, but instead their actual sim racing gear can fail them. So we've seen quite a bit of that actually the last 2 seasons, where people are having mechanical failures at home, shifter problems or gas pedal problems or even wheel problems, whatever it might be. So we see Wojcik here. He's got 2 laps to go, a little less than 2 laps to go to finish out this race. And here we got John Snow. John is still 12.4 seconds behind Wojcik, so he quit catching him at such a blazing speed like he was earlier. So he's just trying to hold on to second. There's Mike Doherty. still in third. He's once again kind of in no man's land out here, all by himself. And then Kyle Macedo with the surprise fourth place finish. He's missed most of the season, but he showed up and had a good showing here tonight in fourth place. And he is kind of all by himself also. So as long as these guys don't make a huge mistake, they're all going to finish on point where they're at. The closest battle we've got going is still Johnson Liu trying to catch what I believe is his brother Lorenzo. You see Johnson, that same curve, have another problem right there. Almost loses the car. That's right where he almost lost it, and when he was in front of Lorenzo, I believe earlier, he almost lost it right there. So you see these guys, this is the only position battle on the track. Everybody else is pretty much flying solo right now. You see the afternoon part of the afternoon lighting, the sun getting lower in the sky, shadows starting to creep across the track. We've typically raced about 2 to 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon at every race event that we've had, except for our night race, of course. But ACC certainly does a great job of making it beautiful when the sun's going down, or when you're racing at night. You know, the visuals are really impressive. Alright, so we are on the last lap of the race. You see Wojcik followed by David Macedo, that's not for position, followed by Evan Miller, once again, that's not for position. So these guys are all just together, but nobody's battling each other. So Wojcik on the last lap of the race, just trying to bring it home. And this is going to secure the championship for Mike Wojcik. He dominated early, then we had a stretch where John Snow dominated really heavily. Then we had a stretch where it was back and forth, Wojcik, then Snow, then Wojcik, then Snow. So it's been a really tense battle back and forth, and Mike Doherty has actually been right in the hunt the whole time. You see Wojcik here bringing home the checkered flag. Or wait, do we have one more lap to go? No. Okay, so that's Wojcik, checkered flag. John Snow, he's finishing second. Mike Doherty coming around to finish third. Doherty's been right up in the front in the hunt. I can't remember if Mike has won a race. I think he won one race this season. But despite only winning one race, skip Kyle. Despite only winning one race, Mike Doherty was in second place in the points for quite a while. It was only recently that John Snow surpassed him to claim second in the points battle. So Doherty's still going to end up with the podium finish for the season. So it's going to be Wojcik, Snow, and Doherty 1, 2, and 3 for the championship. We'll look at the championship final standings for everybody coming up after this race, after we're finished here. We'll have that for you so you can see where everybody finished in the standings, and everybody who is involved will be able to look back and see where they finished. You see the two Liu brothers here battling it out. Lorenzo's going to get the better of that battle, and Johnson is going to finish fifth after being in, I think he was in 11th place, so that's a pretty good race for him. And you see Moda, he was able to get all the way back up to 6th, so he's going to finish in 6th place. We're going to run out of replay here in just a minute, really soon. So Moda, despite that 30-second stop and go, able to finish pretty strong here. And that is the end of it. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do what we always do. If you raced with us or watched us race, you know that we typically go back early in the race and we ride on board with somebody and we rewatch the start of the race, because I always say great race begins with a great start. You can't have a great race like we normally have if everybody screws it up on the first turn. So we're going to take a look on board with Alex Moda here. He's starting in 6th place. Just waiting for that green flag. And there it is. So they're off and racing. You see Jon Snow in 3rd place right there on the inside. We know he just braked really early going into that first turn and gave Macedo the position. We knew Macedo got it, we just didn't know how. So John just basically handed it to him right there. Apparently didn't want to go through there side by side. You see Moda, he gets a position also. He gets past Pedro. Pedro had kind of a slow start and fell behind. So here we can see the leader up ahead. We can see the cars in between. See these guys pretty much single file right from the beginning. There was some more side-by-side racing in the back for about a half a lap, but this is a tough track to stay side-by-side for very long. So you kind of have to fall into whatever place you're in and then just get on your race. So alright guys, this was a great season. You know, we can't say enough how happy we are with the results that we've had. You know, when I started this league, I had an idea of what I wanted to see, and these guys have surpassed that in pretty much every way. The racing has been cleaner and closer and faster than I ever expected it to be. So really, really happy with how this season wrapped up, and of course last season was great also. A little less drama at the end of this season versus last season, where the final race determined the championship by 1 point. You know, it was really, really close last season. Not quite as close this season, but still really, really fun to watch, and a lot of good position battles for everybody on the track. You know, everybody on the track in every race just about stood to make an improvement in their position in the championship, and that's one of the things that we really wanted, was for guys even in the back of the pack to be able to move up or down in the points depending on where they finished, and we definitely succeeded in making that a possibility. So great season. I'm going to toss it over to myself, and we're going to go over the point standings, the final point standings after the final race, and where everybody finished in the championship. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll throw you over there. Alright everybody, we are here looking at our final standings after Season 2, and a lot of people here should be proud of what they've accomplished. We got Mike Wojcik, who took the championship this season with 214 points. Jon Snow coming in second with 194 points. Mike Doherty coming in third with 170 points. And these three guys in the top basically separated themselves by week 2, week 3, and kind of stayed separate from the rest of the group most of the season. So it was a tough three-way battle between these guys. Then after that, we had Andre Marcheshin with 103 points coming in fourth. Ken North, who was consistent all season, finished just behind him with 99 points. Tied with Ken was Pedro with his 5th place tied finish with 99 points. Really good battles between these three guys throughout the season. Pedro definitely having the best finish of his young sim racing career. And then we've got David Macedo, who came in 7th with 91 points. 1 point behind him was Johnson Liu, and that's 8th place. Alex Moda finished in 9th place. Evan Miller finished in 10th place with 68 points. DJ Young finished in 11th place. Lorenzo Liu, 12th place. Ben Wolf, 13th place. 1 point behind Ben Wolf was Joe Marsiglia. So these guys are not separated by much. So we had some good battles going on throughout the season. Nick Driveman finished in 15th. 3 points behind him was Stefan Buckley. Let's see. After that, we've got Jesse Albert, Bruce Hopkins. Those guys are separated by 1 point. Then Jonathan Bryan, who's 1 point behind them. So really close between those guys. Samuel Rock in 20th, Kyle Macedo in 21st. Now, a lot of these guys would have finished higher, especially in the second half of the group, but several of them missed 1, 2 races, maybe even more than that. So, but still good finishes by everybody. Let's see, Scott Taylor here, Scott Hager, Eric Tong, who I know missed multiple races. There's Eric in 24th. Jay Vroman also missed multiple races. He's in 25th. Jamie Morrison, same thing, 26th. And Logan Wolf is pulling up the rear in 27th place with 9 points. So that is how our season played out this year. Congratulations to everyone on a great season, especially those 3 guys who reached the podium for the championship: Mike Wojcik, Jon Snow, and Mike Doherty. Great job by those guys. But just a lot of great racing all around by everybody involved. It was a great season. We appreciate you guys watching, and we hope that you'll follow us next season when we start season 3 here in a few weeks. And thanks for everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next season.